Alright, hello, welcome to the stream. Using a new setup today, so if it looks janky, you should let me know. Or sounds janky. Take a little welcome message. This is another one where my head is going to be turned. You can probably tell. Hi, there's the camera. My screen's over here. My head's going to be turned for a lot of this session, so I won't necessarily see comments right away. Just an unfortunate reality of the setup that I have. So, let's see. Welcome. Oh my goodness, I don't even have. Welcome to the stream. Ask any questions, make comments, make yourself at home. Not questions. That's like a question, but with more re. Okay, stop that. Pin this mother. You're pinned. Okay. There we go. So, hello, I say everybody, like as if there's anyone else here but me right yet, but I'm sure the bodies will be coming soon. Get my setup a little arranged here. Alright. Yeah, today we are looking at the Make Noise Morphagene, which is a Eurorack module for sample mangling. It's like a granular module. Doesn't really match the paradigm of a lot of granular modules that are out today. It's a microsound module is actually what it is, and microsound and granular are, I don't know if they're exactly the same thing. They're related. I mean, granular is microsound. So maybe it's one of those deals where microsound sort of contains granular. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. When you buy the thing, or look at the manual online, because you can just go read the manual. You don't have to buy it to read the manual. They talk about this guy, Curtis something or other. Curtis Strong? Something like that. Who had this theory about microsound that this is based on. It's interesting if you're into this sort of how did this get made, why does this exist sort of stuff. You may very well be interested in that. But it is not really germane, super germane at least, to what it is, how it works, etc. So I just wanted to mention that in case you are interested in learning more. Yeah, so, and I have set this up, and this might seem a little weird. I did it for both convenience sake and because one of the favorite things to do is, my favorite things to do is just to sample speech. So I've actually set this up. This is the input right here, and it's set up, it's just a feed off of the monitor feed off the microphone. So we'll be recording phrases, making maybe funny sounds with my mouth, whatever, and mangling those in the Morphagene. For the purposes of our demonstration today. Obviously you can also put in any number of other things. Like, for example, if I wasn't using my phone for a camera right now, I would probably use it to feed samples to this. Thought about using a cassette player, but all my stereo ones are broken. My handheld stereo ones are broken. I only have mono ones that are currently operational. And I did want to display the stereo of this, so I opted against that. I can, you know, if we have time, I can always jump up and grab one of those if we decide that we want to look at that. Anyway, that's why I decided to use the microphone, just feed the microphone into here to get samples. But let's do a quick tour of the Morphagene. So it's this module right here. Sorry about that. It's going to make some interesting sounds when I touch it, isn't it? Sorry. So here's the module. God. Once again, I apologize for the noise here. Oh, it's fun. I can hear it in my headphones. Here's the module. This thing costs, oh gosh, I should just tell you what it cost. You can all look it up yourself, of course, but Sweetwater has it, yeah. $4.99, $5.29. Sweetwater has it at $5.29. I bet you can find it somewhere for $4.99 still. Or you can find it used for even less than that if you want. It's been around for a while. In 2020 or 2021. Uh-oh. My thing just freaked out. Hold on. Nope, we're good. Whew. My on-screen display just did a flip, so I was worried that the display here was going to do a flip, but it looks like it's alright. On screen, I mean on my phone camera screen. Anyway, about this it was either 2020 or 2021. It was, I just have to look it up. My memory now, it's 6 years ago, so it was must have been 2021. That's when I got into Modular. Anyway, bought this 5 or so years ago. It was not new. It was new. This unit that I bought was a new unit. I bought it, at retail, MSRP. But it wasn't a new thing. It wasn't a new creation. It wasn't something new on the market when I bought it. So it's probably 8 or 10 years old by now, maybe even older. Arguably due for an update, although I don't know exactly how they'd update it. I have a few ideas of what they might do to update it, so it's not completely out of the question. But as far as I know, there's no plans to do that. So, Curtis Rhodes. There you go. Thank you, Justin. Curtis Rhodes is the guy they mentioned. My brain kept wanting to say Curtis Yarvin, but that's that scummy mold bug guy. Fuck that guy. That's just the name, the Curtis name, I guess, that's stuck in my head. Curtis Rhodes. Okay, right. Microsound guy. He's the microsound guy. Okay. Let's get in a little bit to the operation of this. So what this thing is it lets you load a sample and or record a sample and then manipulate it in a variety of ways, either by the on-panel controls or via CV, control voltage, or via some of its built-in settings. It's morph and stretch and whatnot settings that do different things. So this up here is the input control, basically. It's the balance between the input and what's recorded. So you can have a mix of some of what's recorded and some of what's incoming. You can have just what's recorded, or you can have just what's incoming. This here is the playback control. It's essentially a varispeed control. So this all the way here is like 2-speed or even 3-speed. When it's green, it's going to play forward at normal speed, and it's going to be slower. Here, I think it's half speed here. There you go. This is all very subtle. And then slower goes all the way down to full stop here, and then it'll start reversing this way. And I'll show you what that sounds like. So you can have continuous playback through a stop into a reverse, just like you were controlling a piece of tape. Neat. This is the attenuator for that control. So you can put control voltage in here and control this control via control voltage, and this, or it's actually an attenuverter. So this way it inverts the signal, and this way it is just controlling how much of the signal is coming in. So just a little bit of the signal, all of the signal, a little bit of the signal inverted, all of the signal inverted, right? Okay. This control here is the gene size. This controls the size of your sample. So if you record a 3-second sample, when this controls it full, you have all 3 seconds, and all the way at the end you'd have something like a few microseconds. So just a little pss, 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 pss. And I'm going to show all this through. I'm just going to walk through the controls, and then we'll start recording some sounds and playing them. This is not all going to be theoretical. The morph knob controls how much spacing between iterations of the sample, between the loops. When it's all the way here, it'll play through, there'll be a short pause, it'll play through again, short pause, play through again, short pause. it becomes like a fully looped somewhere around here, I want to say, to where it's just a smooth, seamless loop. And then every time it turns yellow, it's like a seamless setting, and the red settings are where it's going to be a little rougher in between. But these all have increasing overlap until you get about here, and then it kind of goes crazy and starts splitting between the channels and pitch shifting shit up and down and getting all wild for this last little throw. Okay. Input, this is a CV control to control the morph. This is a clock input, so you can clock this. It gets some different behavior when you clock it. This is a CV out. This little light right here, you can see it kind of flashing as I speak. Hello! See? Hello, hello. That is the, it's essentially an envelope follower. If you don't know what an envelope follower is, it follows the volume envelope of an incoming signal. If you think of it as like, I'm sure you've seen a visualizer where the louder something is, the higher it goes or the brighter it goes. That's essentially what this is, but in addition to making a light go brighter as it gets louder, it also puts out a control voltage signal that gets stronger as it gets louder. So right now there's very minimal signal. Look, do a little ASMR here. But hey, and then you see it's real bright when I yell. Sorry if that was super obnoxious and loud. And so you can get this CV. This CV out is a representation of the sample that's playing or the signal that's coming in. Okay, here's a play control, a record control. So that's so you can start and stop playback and recording remotely. Splice adds a splice into the sample, which is just a marker that says, hey, we're going to split this here. Shift moves between the splices, as does organize. So shift just moves one splice forward, and organize lets you, wheel between them rapidly, right? You still go through each one, but instead of having to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the 7th one, you can just go whoop, and maybe you're already on the 7th one there. Slide is the start point of the sample. So between slide and gene size, you can control the start and length of the sample. And so you can kind of basically move around through the sample, okay, with these two. Organize moves between your splices, like I said. Splice, add splices, record is a record button, shift. These are indicator lights to let you know what's going on. This is a gate signal that's triggered when it gets to the end of the splice. You can use that for various things. Inputs, outputs. That's basically it. It's oh, and then here, this is an SD card here. And that's basically it. It's not super complex in terms of controls and whatnot, but it is pretty wild in terms of its effects. So let's record a sample. Enough talking. Let's record a sample and see what we got here. Okay. So, hello, this is just a test sample. We're just going to try some stuff out. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just going to try some stuff out. Hello, the test sample. We're just going to test sample. We're just gonna try some stuff out. Hello, this is just a test. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna try. All right, so I hope that you can already see part of why I like this. You can you can probably hear, but oh goodness, is this locked up? Looks like my camera's locked up. But the stream's still going? Oh no, there we go. I don't know what's going on. I guess my face was just that close. I hope you guys enjoy this really close up on my face. It is unfortunately sort of how I'm forced to set this up because just the way my modular is set up and whatever compared to the camera. I'm going to turn that down for just a second so I don't have to listen to that clattering away. So I'm going to get back to making sounds in a second, but I did want to just take a second. You can probably hear this amusement. I'm gonna do a video about this in the future, but for me, when I am playing with gear, there are two signs, and like I said, I do plan on doing kind of a full video, maybe a short one, but a full video about this sometime. They're the two tests that I consider the is this piece of gear something I want to engage with long term? And the first test is the getting lost test, and that's when you're playing with the damn thing and you just completely get lost in what you're doing. Whatever you're, whether you're trying to explore a certain function or just explore the synth altogether or trying to figure out something specific, pretty soon you're just lost. You're just playing with it, you're making sounds, you're, screwing around, and 25 minutes or 35 minutes or an hour has passed. When that happens, you have an interesting piece of gear, right? That's something that's going to probably reward the time that you put into it, reward your exploration. It's something that's meaningful to you. It's something that's like treating you right? Okay, so that's the first thing. That happens to me a lot with this unit. The other thing is the thing I think that you already just saw, and that's, I don't really have a name for it. It's the laugh test or the giggle test. And that's when I'm playing with something, sometimes I find it so amusing and so charming what it's doing that I just can't help but I'm just delighted and I laugh out loud. And you can already hear that. And this is with the unit I've had for 6 years. It still like makes me go, tee, look at it, that's so crazy. I love what it's doing. So yeah. So this is part of the reason I love this synth is it 100% always passes that sort of laugh smile test, right? So yeah, so I hope you can already see just from this silly little sample that I have here what kind of crazy shit you can do with this. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna try some stuff out. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna try some stuff out. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna try some stuff out. Hello, this is just a test sample. Hello, this. Hello, this. Hello. Help. 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 Hello, this is just hello, this is hello, this hello, this is hello, this is just hello, this is just hello, this is just hello, this is just a test hello, this is just a hello, this is just a hello, this is just a hello, this is just hello, this is just hello, this is just hello, this is just a test hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna hello, this is just a hello, help try some stuff out. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna try some stuff out. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna try some stuff out. Hello, hello, this is just a test sample. We're just gonna try some. Hello, 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 hello. All right, so there we've isolated just a single word. Hello, 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 hello. So, as I think you can see here, yeah, I'm real sorry that you just keep having these views of me making a stupid face for seconds at a time, minutes at a time, perhaps. It is the unfortunate reality this of me concentrating on this and you being this close to my face. So, I think you can already see with just a simple speech sample being mangled up, like what this thing is capable of. And I call it a sound Goodizer. That's just kind of a category of things in my mind. The other big one in Modular is panharmonium. In my Modular, not in Modular in general, is the panharmonium. Clouds, I think, is a sound goodizer. People love that. It's just, sound goodizer is something that when you put something into it, it almost doesn't matter what you put into it. It just sounds good coming out. That's just a term I made up for this kind of certain things that, you know, that microcosm pedal that everybody has. That's another sound goodizer. It's just some things, both for good and for ill, because sometimes with the sound goodizer, whatever you put in comes out sounding the same, and that can be kind of a drag, even though it sounds awesome. It just turns everything into the same kind of thing, which, no shade to the microcosm pedal, but like that's, I feel like it's one of those, like, I've seen 1,000 demos of it, and they all sound incredible, no question about it, but they all also kind of sound the same. Almost doesn't matter what kind of source material you put into it, you get sort of the same sort of thing out, or at least a similar kind of thing. There's some argument to be made that this is the same, but I don't really think it is. I think that it's a little more complex than that. So let's go. Let's record another splice. Okay, so this is our second sample. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, and see here. So now we've got two samples. So the blue one is the first one, and there's the second one. Okay, so there, that's playing back at the normal pitch. Let's take all this crazy morph effects off. Okay. So this is our second sample. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So this is our second sample. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, so start. I don't. See what happens. I don't know. I don't. Alright, so there I am making a stupid fucking sound. Let's see if we can gangle this up a little bit. So I'm just moving the playback knob here back and forth. We can go even smaller on the gene size. So now we really do just have like a little swarm of tiny little micro sound bits. So, this is, I hope this is an interesting demonstration. I don't even know what all you guys might want to see, and I do have a tendency to get lost in this, so I almost feel like I have to apologize lest I just disappear into playing with my own voice in a truly masturbatory way here. Not truly masturbatory, but figuratively masturbatory way here. So if you can kind of see a little bit here, the next to these two, I've actually built this as kind of a single voice. The QPOS and the Mimeophone I bought in fairly short order. And that's not to say that to play with the Morphagene. And that's not to say that I don't use them with other stuff, because I do all the time. But I did buy them at least to some degree with the idea that they would be a companion for... Sorry if that was a really loud noise there. A companion for the Morphagene. I'm actually going to plug in my joystick control, which you can't see, it's just off screen. Let's plug in a few other things too, and so you get the basic idea what's going on. I'm going to plug in some modulation. So I'm going to put in this control, a little chaos to control the slide, and a different chaos to control the size, and we'll control and I think this is a pretty good illustration of what I mean by that sound Goodizer. I mean, you saw me record. You know what the sample is. You know it's nothing interesting. It's just me saying something stupid in the same stupid voice that I have every day, and making a stupid noise at the end. And now we've turned it into a bizarre, angelic / demonic choir. With nothing more than just the controls, like no processing applied, right? Like that sample is untouched on the thing. We can get it back to the original setting, but in the meantime, and once again, I almost feel like I need to apologize because I don't even want to talk to you. I just want to play with this stupid sound. So, yeah, and if you put in actual musical phrases and stuff into here, you can do the same thing. So you can use this as a looper. You can use it as like a weird delay. You can use it as a voice. You can use it... and now, I will say that, like, when you're using it as a looper, it is somewhat of an unconventional looper. But it does, like right now, oh, right, it's because I have this turned down. So right now, you can hear like it's probably hard to tell exactly what's going on because you can also hear my voice through the thing. But my voice is coming through here, like, now it's just my voice, right? That's all that's coming through. It's coming through twice, so it might sound a little weird, like there's a little delay or flanging or phasing effect of some sort going on. And we're including more and more of this in here. And so, like, if this was a musical phrase playing, for example, we could be chopping it up in real time behind here as it plays. You know, like, here, let's just, right now, we'll just continue, like this is actually recording right now, and we'll see what's going on with that. We'll hit record, and so now we have this weird sample that's partially the chopped up loop thing that was playing through the thing, recorded back into the same splice, and we've now mangled it a bit, in other words. And we can still maybe actually get it back even to, let's see if we can remove all the modulation. So this is what it is now. Hello, this is just a test sample. This is just a test sample. Try some stuff out. So we recorded over that sample with this sort of new sample here. And you can do that in real time. You can, again, you know, since you can trigger all these things remotely, you can do some very interesting effects with it as a looper. Again, it does sort of play a pretty non-conventional role as a looper, so it can be difficult to achieve normal effects. But I mean, if you want a normal looper, buy a normal looper. If you want this thing, then you buy this thing. And so, if you listen to my music at all, I know some of you do and some of you don't, and that's totally fine. Obviously, I'm happy to have your views, whether you're a fan of my music or not. But if you do listen to my music, I think that you will probably recognize that this gets... You've heard this sort of effect a lot, all over it. I've even made several tracks that are basically 100% reliant on this module. If you go to my Is Life and Dreams Are Made Of album, there's a song called Who's Responsible This? And it is almost entirely Morphagene, there's a backing track to it as well, but the backing track was almost just something I had going while I was playing with the Morphagene, and that track is what came out. And then, more contemporary, on the very first track of my last album, Mechanics of Mysticism, on the Hidden Room in My Mind Palace track, it's the intro and sort of the weird haunted voices that go through the whole thing are Morphagene. It's basically what it's doing right now. Not exactly, but essentially. Okay, so technique-wise, there's a lot of different things you can do with this. Let's see here. Put it on a new splice. We're just going to record a new sample. Nice and normal, everything's normal, very normal, extremely normal. Hello, this is just a test sample. We're just going to try some stuff out. Just going to record a new sample, everything's normal, everything's nice and normal, everything's normal, very normal, extremely normal. Nice and normal, everything's normal, very normal, extremely normal. We're just going to record a new sample. Nice and normal, everything's normal, very normal, extremely normal. We're just going to record a new sample. Nice and normal, everything's normal. Nice and normal. Nice and normal. So, very normal. I do want to, even though this is really just about I braided these just a little bit to keep them out of the way. Even though this is really about the Morphagene, I do want to show some of its companions, because I do think that this thing, as cool as it is on its own, hopefully you have some idea of what this can do. I realize this is not a full demonstration. I could spend literal hours just showing you different things that this thing can do, but I'm more interested in showing you a little bit of how I use it and what I do with it, rather than just a generic gear demo. And when I use it, I almost invariably use it in conjunction, with this bad boy here, which is a badass delay by the same company. I think it's arguable that these two are, they're not made to go together, just like here, I'm going to put this all the way over here, so. Okay. I'm going to pause this for just a second so I don't have to talk over that. Okay, they're not made to go together in the sense that one is incomplete without the other or anything like that, but they share much like the easel did, they share a similar design language. They're both Sound Hack products, which is to say that the same guy, who's maybe Justin can provide this name as well, Thomas Erb is the guy's name. Didn't have to have him do it. or Erbe. I'm not sure. ERBE is the guy's last name, I'm pretty sure. He's the guy who programmed both of these. So they just go together really well. A Mimeophone, without getting too far into it, is just it's a delay with some a few fancy features, okay? But we're just gonna like run this through here just to see how cool that this can get. It's got a little filtering, it's got this halo effect, which is like a reverb. Plug our modulation back in here. I think you can already see I'm revealing all my secrets here. There are tracks I've made that are barely more than what you're hearing right now. Just some kind of weird sample being mangled by Morphagene, being modulated by a bunch of modular stuff, and then going into this wild delay / reverb effect. Everything's normal, right? I will say that I sometimes get comments that I talk too much during these things, so maybe it's a good thing that I finally found a device that makes me just want to screw around with it and barely make a sound. Yeah, so I wish I had, maybe I can put something together real quick. I wish I had a way to just get some music, a quick loop into this to do it. Maybe that's an argument for doing another video at some point. So depending on your taste, oh look, now we're getting my voice through the echo. That's fun. Depending on your taste and what you find interesting or musical, you might be. There's probably a variety of camps, but I'm guessing we could broadly split those into two camps. One of which was like, okay, that was amazing, and I could do that forever. And another, meaning what we were just doing for the last 2 or 3 minutes, and another camp who's like, what are you doing? Stop wanking off. This is fucking stupid. Show me something musical. I respect both of those camps. I'm obviously in the former camp. That kind of thing could literally amuse me for days. I mean, already I'm like, God, why do I not play with this thing every day? When I first got this, I played with this every night for hours. And at that point, I had like 5 modules. But the Morphagene was one of them. Morphagene was one of the first things I actually bought. There we go. So one of the first things I bought when I bought my synthesizer, I bought a Create Audio skiff, which is actually my control skiff. You can't quite see it, but it's right underneath the camera. All my controllers are in there. It's just a little 100, I think it's 104. Maybe it's an 84 HP. It's something like that. A case, relatively small case. Yeah, it's 84, I think. 84 HP case. HP is the width of these things. Like this is 22 HP, I want to say. Right. So it's roughly it was roughly this, from say here to over here. I don't know if you can even see this other hand off screen. Boop, boop. You probably can't. Past the Mimeophone, 1 or 2 small modules past the Mimeophone is how big it was. And so I had the Morphagene, and then I had just a couple, the filter and a modulator, like a function generator, dual function generator, and like a couple of a cheap oscillator and like a weird little a bad sequencer that came with the Create Audio modules that came with it, the chips and the cells is what the other one was called. And then I had a couple of the Dreadbox modules, the pink one, which is a couple of function generators, and the blue filter. And and that was it. Those 5 modules were my first setup, and the Morphagene. So there's a bundle of all 4 of the other modules in the case. I think I paid like $300 for that, and then I paid $500 for the Morphagene itself. And yeah, that was the beginning of my modular journey, and I fell in love with the Morphagene. I had been planning on buying a modular synth for months and months. I'd been working towards it when I finally bought this thing, researching and whatever. And the Morphagene I discovered like 2 nights before I actually bought my synth, and I fell so hard for it that I just kind of, my initial plan was just to buy those first 4 modules and just explore that for a little while. But I fell so hard for the Morphagene that I bought it that night with my initial setup, and was really worried that I'd made a huge mistake. But it's still my favorite module, basically 6 years later. So I think I made the right decision. Just an incredible module. Can do so much. Like I said, we have like 15 minutes left. By the time I even found something at this point, we would be found a CD to play through it or something, we'd be out of time. But if people are interested, I will definitely, we could plan to do another session where I just put some music through it and show you how it can be used that way to deconstruct music, to recontextualize musical pieces, etc., etc. It can really fuck some shit up, is what it boils down to. Some normal. And then, in that sort of initial period when I was still learning this thing, one thing I did find that a lot of the demos I watched had been with the Mimeophone, and I couldn't do some of the stuff I was seeing in the demos without the Mimeophone, so I bought the Mimeophone shortly thereafter. That's another, haven't regretted it for a second. And then a couple years later, I got the Q-Pass, which is a filter it's not designed specifically for it, but it goes really nicely with it. Actually, let's show the filter real quick. We got a few minutes here. Let's see what the filter does. So you've heard all this without the filter. Now let's hear it with the filter. Find another cable here of the right length. You'll do, sure. This has a bunch of outputs. We'll just start with the low pass. This filter is wild. So you can already see we're already off in a whole other world. So now when you're listening to my music and you hear all these weird effects, you'll know exactly what's going on. This combination is all over my music. It's an incredible way to make atmospheres. You can clock all this too, by the way. You can clock this, and you can clock both this and the Morphagene. That might be interesting to clock it, actually. Let's get a clock going here. So I'm running a clock into it now. And it has some unusual clocking behavior, like so you can hear it's going to a clock there, right? You can kind of hear that clock. That kick, 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 kick. That's the clock. And now the clock's going so fast it's actually causing like weird tones to appear. Now obviously we can modulate our filter and our delay as well. That'll give us some more interesting effects for sure. Like, let's just make the... Here, I got a better idea. Let's modulate that by a triangle wave connected to the... So this is the triangle wave that is the clock. The triangle wave, the clock is derived from this triangle wave, basically. So this is all this modulation. Well, not all. The clock and this triangle wave are coming from the pendulum, so it's doing some interesting stuff. It's not just the straight clock for sure. Everything's always nice and normal, yeah, for real. Yeah, I love delays. Delays are, and part of why I love the Morphagene is, in a lot of ways, it really is just a delay. I mean, it's a looper / delay, whatever, but it's, you know, it's a capture buffer delay or whatever, so it holds things in the buffer. Does some wild stuff, but yeah, I love delays. That's the combination of the Mimeophone and the Morphagene. And the Q-Pass is just frosting. you know, the Q pass is truly transformative in a lot of ways, but also sometimes you don't want it because it's too much. It's just too extreme what it's doing. It's also real pretty. You know, you see the lights change and blink and flash. It's neat. It's fun to look at. It's a very intuitive, but also, I mean, it's intuitive in a sense, but it's also sometimes it surprises the hell out of you. You're like, I don't know what the hell's happening right now. It's very confusing. It's weird that something can be so intuitive, and then also so bewildering at times. But it's just that's the deal. And you know, along those similar lines to what I was just saying about I should play with this thing more, that is kind of, I gotta say, whenever I bust out the modular, I'm always like, I should play with this more. Certainly when I first got it, I used to, yeah, pretty is always good for a module. When I first got this thing, like I said, I played with it every night for like, I remember like 4 months in realizing that every single night since I'd bought it, I'd played with it for several hours. I certainly don't do anything like that anymore. It can now be months between times me even touching this. Like when I first got it, I was very much in that exploratory phase, and now I'm more in the like when I have in mind something I can do, I come to the modular, I come to the Morphagene, whatever specifically. But I should say I probably should do more exploration because I find when I just spend some time with it, I get very inspired and come up with interesting stuff pretty regularly. And can just lose myself for hours playing with it. Does anyone have any questions about any of this stuff? The Morphagene specifically, but also any of the other modules we looked at. I'm controlling this with a planar 2, which is just a joystick controller. Well, it's not just a joystick controller. It's a joystick controller with a bunch of added on bits and bobs. It's got a bunch of VCAs and whatnot built into it. It can record control voltage. Like here, actually, I will. Okay. So look, hands-free, and it's being modulated, the playback speed's being modulated because I recorded a little sequence on the joystick controller. Fun. I'm using this, I don't think you can, oh, you can just see this sloths. This is a fancy cover for nonlinear circuits, triple sloth module. I'm just using the top two outputs of that as our modulation sources for gene size and slide. Remember, gene size is the size of the sample that's playing back. Slide is the location of the sample in the overall, it slides the start point forward and backwards, right? So between the two of those, you can have this continuously variable, like, you know, it gets bigger and smaller the size of the sample, and then slides, that piece slides from beginning to end of the sample and moves around. Pretty neat. And that's just being controlled right now. The slide and gene size are controlled by chaos, essentially. It's a pendulum simulation, I think is what the sloth circuit is. So it, you know, when you swing a pendulum back and forth and they sort of like, the path that they take through space is not completely linear. It's like this swooping path. And I think that's essentially a simulation, an analog simulation of that is sort of what's happening in that circuit. So it's an LFO-like effect, but it's not as regular. And then, yeah, I'm just controlling the playback speed and direction with the joystick, which is currently playing automated. So that's the automation. Now it's off, and I can control it. Yeah. And then the effects aren't really, no controls going into the effects other than the frequency is being controlled by the triangle of this triangle wave of the thing we're using to clock it. Yeah, you can do a lot of interesting tricks with this thing. Like, you can use the CV out to control external modules and kind of make them in sync with this. You can use it for kind of feedback patch, have the sample control itself to some degree. Very powerful module. And Modular itself obviously is very powerful if you have the patience for it. It can be a little fussy with all these wires. I had to spend 20 minutes unpatching another patch before we could start today. So I'm a little behind on my real work day is what I'm saying because of y'all. Just kidding. It's not really your fault, is it? It's my fault. I chose to do that. But yeah, it can be a little fussy. It's real expensive. I mean, if you wanted to buy a Morphagene and just control it by hand, you'd be out $525 for the Morphagene, and you could probably get a cheap case for a little over $100, maybe $150 if you were looking for one used or whatever, or like maybe a little pod with just the thing and a power supply you pick up for $150. So like $650, $675, you could have a synthesizer that was just a Morphagene in a case. I should point out, this module next to it is a switch, and one of the ways that I use this actually is I will put a modulation source like these Chaos in one side of the switch and then empty on the other, and then I can use the switch to switch back and forth between like a crazy, outer, like gets all spacey and out there where it's all blah, 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 something like this. All weird, jibbly-jabbly, and then with the hit of a button, I can hit the switch and all the modulation flips to the other side, which means it's all zeroed out. So you just come back to your base sample like in an instant, which can be kind of a cool effect. There's some weird spacey nonsense to the voice just say, this is a perfectly normal sample. Everything's normal or whatever, like I was saying on there. I could have set that up and showed you, but we're literally out of time. It's 1:30 now. So I guess I'm going to wrap this up. I love this module. As you can probably tell, I kind of got a little lost playing with it today. Not necessarily a bad thing unless you just, if you wanted more data, I apologize. I can certainly answer any questions in the comments that we did not get to. If you are curious about, hey, would it work for something like this? You have a use case in mind and you want to run it by me, run it by me. I'll be happy to give you it's just an opinion, but an opinion about whether or not that's something you could accomplish. Whatever else. Is it worth it? Yes, I think it's worth it. It's the reason I got into Modular. And if I got rid of all this other crap, which I'm not going to, but if I did, it would probably be something I would keep. Like I might, if I ever got out of Modular, one thing I might do is just keep the Morphagene and maybe the Mimeophone in a little case, and one modulator in the case as a little synthesizer, standalone synthesizer. But not that I'm planning on getting out of Modular, I'm just saying for the sake of argument. Yeah, that's basically it for the Make Noise Morphagene. That's just one kind of thing. If there is interest, just say the word, and I will run a second. We'll run it back next week, and I'll get it set up with, I'll bust out a CD player or something, or maybe just like maybe I'll pre-record a bunch of samples of my own music so I don't get copyright struck, and I can show you what it's like to, how it can chop up samples of, music. We could also run a sequence into it via the, I've got the Novation Circuit Mono Station is sitting right here next to the modular. Obviously I can sequence anything inside the modular to feed it a sequence, and then we could, you know, use it as, look at it as a real-time looper and stuff like that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the Make Noise Morphagene with a little sneak preview of the Q-Pass and Mimeophone combo as well, because it's not that they're not complete without each other, but each one of them is very, very cool in its own way as a standalone instrument, effect, whatever. Together, they make an incredible voice that can do a lot of stuff. And I mean, also just for sound design stuff, you can, you know, obviously you can sample all this stuff and turn it into little bits of ear candy or whatever. It sounds like something from Sesame Street, like the aliens does. Or Star Wars, I don't know, Sesame Street, Star Wars. Okay, again, I'm just getting lost in this. I love it that much. I could get lost forever. All the things, yes, absolutely, yep. So you were a little late at the beginning of the stream. I went over. But yes, literally every one of these controls on the Morphagene has, I don't think there's a single control that you can't CV. There's switches or CV inputs for literally every one of these things that it does, every control. So there's CV input here to control the inputs from all the way left is what's coming in, all the way right is only what's recorded, and then anywhere in the middle is some combination of both. That's CV controllable. You have an attenuated CV input here for gene size, an attenuated CV input here for slide, a CV input for organize, a switch or clock input for shift. You have a clock or gate input for splice. You have this is an output of the into slice gate, so every time we get to the end of a splice it sends a gate out. Here's a CV input for the varispeed, which is the playback speed and direction, CV input for morph, CV input for clock, CV output for the envelope follower, CV input for play and record, and that's it. That's everything, right? And then on Mimeophone, same deal. Is there a control you can't control via the CV? I don't think there is. So you have not one, but two CV inputs for the rate. One's a micro time input, so it makes very small adjustments. And then this one is an attenuated input, so you can make pretty big adjustments. You've got inputs to control the zone, inputs to control repeats, which is feedback, input to control the mix, input to control the halo effect, input to control an attenuated input to control the color, attenuated input to control rate, and non-attenuated input to control rate. Gate input to switch hold on and off, gate input to switch the flip, which makes the delay trails reversed, a clock input and a clock output. So yes, everything is CV controllable. Make Noise is really good about giving you access to all of the parameters via CV. Not all of the modular manufacturers are amazing about that. Make Noise is... I'm sure there are exceptions. I'm sure that someone's going to be like, oh, well, actually, you know, this CV is not accessible on this other Make Noise module, and it really sucks, and it should be. I don't know. But in general, Make Noise is really great about giving you CV control of pretty much everything, including sometimes, like if you look at this Q-Pass, there are CV inputs that are exclamation point, upside down, exclamation point, upside down, exclamation point. And it's not even clear what those do, but they're going to give them to you. So yeah, they're all about the inputs, the CV control. Highly recommend this. If you're already in modular, highly recommend this module. When I got it, there was almost nothing else that did what it does. Now there are a handful of modules that do. I shouldn't say there was nothing. There was a couple options. There was R-bar, Instro R-bar, Instro Luba. I think what this does falls somewhere in between Luba and R-bar. And then there's also a couple of... it's not a million miles removed from what Clouds does, although it doesn't do what Clouds does, and Clouds doesn't do what it does. Same with Beads. And there's a couple of oh gosh, qubit modules. Like there's one that's called the oh god, I almost bought the thing. I can't believe can't think of the name right now. Something with an N, and they have one called Stardust. You know, any sort of like granular delay, granular looper, etc. is going to have, or regular looper is going to have some degree of overlap with the Morphagene. So there are other things that can do what it does, or something similar to what it does. And now there's definitely some options. So if you kind of like what it does, but you don't like some aspect of it, you can probably find something similar just by looking for modules like Morphagene. And someone will have written an article or made a video of a couple, round up a couple other ones. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend it, even though it is an older module or whatever. If you heard any of this and went, man, that was cool, like, you should get one and play with it. If you're into modular, or you're thinking about getting into modular, it's an incredible freaking module, and it will keep you busy for ever, probably. I have seriously considered buying a second one. It's one of a handful of modules I've considered buying two of. Bindulin is probably the other main one that I've been like, maybe I should have two Bindulins. And also I should also mention all of the noise engineering platform modules. I wouldn't mind having two of too, because every single one of I have one of each of the platforms, so an Alia, a Legio, and a Versio, but there's so many good firmwares for them that I kind of want two of each, but probably not going to do that. Probably also not going to buy a second Morphagene, but maybe someday, who knows, or maybe I will buy like the Stardust or one of these things that's sort of an evolution of it and pair it with that. But okay, that's enough of that, enough talking, enough sampling, enough silliness. I hope that you had fun with this. I had fun with this. I love this stupid thing so much. It's so neat. It's so cool. I could lose myself for literal hours in it. Especially with a little delay. I mean, just listen to that. Okay. Getting lost again. I'm just losing myself in this stupid thing. Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it, hanging out. Hopefully this is as popular as my other Make Noise thing was. But even if it isn't, I super much thank you all for coming and hanging out while I played with this thing and talked to you a little bit. It was fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. And yeah, we'll see you in a week. Unless you come find me online, then you'll see me sooner. Bye.